But
It's Thursday.
I'm having a fantastic week. Wasn't that a great meeting yesterday?
It was, yes.
Wow. Got me thinking about employees and employee turnover. And, when we're discussing a lot of those other management items and leadership and the turnover of employees, somebody in the meeting brought up yesterday that the trouble with employee turnover.
Huge problem.
I thought about it, and I went home and looked at some of my notes, and I thought, I know it's a huge cost.
Well, let's talk about what it is.
That's a good point.
Right? I mean, I think if we start and actually try to identify what employee turnover actually is, there may be people who are experiencing it who don't realize it.
Yeah.
Because so I'll put it this way. We had a term in the military that we called road toads.
Yeah.
Road toads. And what it stood for was retired on active duty. Basically, it means that you were sitting in a position and not really doing any work. You were not being productive.
Okay.
And that's, believe it or not, I would consider that kind of a form of turnover.
Turnover in place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They may not have left the position, but they're definitely not being productive. So I think that's one type of turnover.
I've seen that a little bit in industry, a larger company where somebody just kind of gets lost in the shuffle.
Yeah.
It always amazed me, but that happens.
Yeah. And then I think we can talk about the definitive. It's okay, somebody leaves, right? We had somebody, they were here for an extended period of time, or even if they were here just long enough for us to train them and spend a lot of time and money, and then they're no longer in that position and we have to start all over again.
Exactly.
I think both of those are really kind of the two main turnovers.
And there's voluntary turnover where people just get up and quit.
Yep.
Give their 2 weeks notice or whatever it is.
Yep.
And then there's involuntary.
Oh yeah. Whether it be due to like what we're going through now,
right,
COVID-19, or complaints, people not working out within the organization, still a form of turnover.
Oh, it is, and it hurts no matter what, and it can be real painful when it's a discharge, which means you're firing them for cause, and that's a real tricky thing to go through, as well as just laying off people that you're talking about, reducing in force because of the environment or because of loss of revenue, whatever it is. It's still a very costly and item to go through. And it hurts. It hurts every corporation. And I think you can tell people about what the cost of that is, because it's huge. I don't think people ought to recognize how big it is, because we just jump in and start fixing the problem. Let's rehire somebody, put them in slot, we'll be fine, or I'll take up the slack. But in reality, I know the national average is like 1/3 of the annual salary. So even in California, at $13 an hour, that's like almost $9,000. I think a lot of small business people maybe not even recognize that that's what it could cost me. Yeah, there's a lot that goes into that $9,000. A lot of people don't realize.
Yep.
So it's just important to know that, so you can do things about trying to avoid that turnover.
So, what do you think are some of the reasons why businesses are going to have such a high turnover?
Well, in companies I worked for that had high turnover, there were many things. But the research tells us that typically, maybe even as high as 75% of the cases, it's bad management. It's just poor management and leadership. And that means, look at thyself and what's going on
Right,
in the
right.
organization,
Yeah,
right?
it's not my fault. Obviously, they quit because it was because of them, right?
Right. And sometimes, at least, I was sitting on the tail end in HR, and what I heard from others in management would be, well, you did salary surveys, we may not be paying enough, or our benefits don't match brand X, and I got to tell you, more often than not, when I would do exit interviews, the real case was people didn't feel like they were treated fairly, or they weren't treated at all. They were ignored. They weren't, there was no recognition for the contribution they made. And I'm not talking about financial recognition.
No. Hey, thank you for the good job. We recognize you went above and beyond. No engagement, no path, or even direction.
Right.
Right. It's here. You're just you come in, you do X and Y, and then you leave. And as long as X and Y is done, you never hear from me again. But when X and Y doesn't happen, that's when you hear from me.
That's when things go wrong.
Yep.
Look out when the boss shows up.
Yep. I was sitting here thinking about, it's one that I think a lot of people don't realize, especially a lot of management doesn't realize, that yes, most of the time, 3/4 or 75% of the time, the reason people leave is because of management. And if you tell yourself, oh well, that doesn't apply to us, and you have any sort of turnover, it is going to apply. Most people, when they take the job, they take the job because they like what they have, right? Mm-hmm. And so if they have everything that they wanted when they took the job, they're not going to necessarily go looking for a replacement for those. Right. It happens 25% of the time. It's for all the other reasons why. It's like I need to move. I got a family reason. Through networking or whatever, I have found a better, higher paid position, someplace that promotes me, something.
Well, what I found out, Corey, a lot of people will go along in their job, and then they'll get a phone call. If they're really good and they're in demand, they're skilled, they'll get a phone call, and that's that pivotal moment. The person's going to say, oh, yeah, I'd like to hear what you have to say, or no way, I'm happy here. No, I don't care if you can give me a salary increase. I'm not looking, and I'm happy. So please don't call again, because I made a lot of those calls.
I've had headhunters come after me. Yeah.
Yeah, and if you're happy there, a 10% salary increase isn't going to do it. I mean, we all have a price. It could be stock options or something, but even then, you want to say, do I want to uproot my family? Do I really want to make that change?
Do I want to start over?
Do I want to start over? And do I really know what it's like inside that company? I can do all the research, but once I get there, sometimes I know I got surprised a few times.
Yeah.
I've done research. So it's just when those people get to that point, those people that you really want to keep, and you don't even understand why they're leaving, that's a sad situation. And I'll tell you, most managers I work for are wonderful people. And what they usually don't understand is, well, why can't that person just come in and do their job? I don't know. They're paying them well. And it's funny how the best of us forget why we work. We think it's for money. Well, maybe it is to get you in the door. But it's really about purpose, a sense of purpose. And if that sense of purpose is not there, all the money in the world is not going to keep you doing a job that you don't like unless you just can't find another job. So that turnover, voluntary. The other thing about turnover, the cost of it is that people may not realize is the productivity they lose. I look at when somebody, like you talked about, the person that's sitting there on their job, kind of not really there.
Yep, retired.
The physical sense is there.
Yep.
I see people when they're not at work because they're sick or absenteeism. You see what happens. I know it has to happen, and we all know it. We may not think about it like everybody else has to pitch in.
Yeah, somebody else has to cover the workload, and it stresses everybody else out.
Right.
Increases their workload. They can't get the stuff done that they need to get done. It really does just kind of snowball.
So it stresses the whole organization out. So, and you know, there's always group dynamics involved. You got somebody that's working with you on a team, and they leave. I don't care if they transfer to another department or went on leave or something. The dynamics of that group changes. So that means that the productivity could change. That means that the culture changes just because that one person left. You bring in a new person. In fact, I talked to somebody down in Silicon Valley the other day, and they were talking about how they were concerned about the culture in their company because they were hiring from their competitor so many people, and of course they were bringing their culture with them.
Right.
Their culture changed. And that's part of a turnover problem like I think you brought up is that culture is a precious thing because if it's working for you and people are excited about coming to work every day, you don't want to tamper with that culture. If it's not that way, you might want to enhance it. Right. But when you've got a culture going wrong because people leave, and if you get more and more people leave, that turnover sends a signal to everybody that's there. Something's wrong.
You hope.
Yeah, right. Oh, you hope you get that message.
You hope you see the signal that hey, maybe there's a reason for this.
Yeah. But I hate to harp on the cost, but there's cost of training, retraining, the cost of onboarding. You got to bring somebody on board, and you got to go through all that onboarding, that new orientation. You got to get them indoctrinated. And you were talking about the other day about the knowledge. When you lose people and they walk out with that knowledge, not only the knowledge of skills, but they have the knowledge of the organization.
Absolutely.
How things work here.
How to get things done.
Yeah.
Where the bodies are buried.
Right? Yeah, right.
They know who can get things done, who can't get things done, who can they trust.
Right.
I think when you lose an individual, I think the latest study that I saw showed that when a person leaves, they take 42% of their job with them that nobody else knows. Mm-hmm. And it comes from them putting together corporate knowledge. It comes from them understanding the culture, the people, and everything, and putting all that together through their eyes, right? So when that person leaves, 42, even if they have documented processes,
right,
42% of that job leaves with them. And that's hard to quantify on what does that cost to rebuild that. And yeah, it's just kind of crazy to think about what one person can do. Mm-hmm. and how powerful one person at any level can have to the overall organization.
Well, I think about the smaller the company, the scarier it gets because you have 5 people, one person leaves, that's 20% of your workforce.
Yeah, and even then you start talking about everything that they take with them, right? Not just the head count,
right?
But now, how much money is it going to cost to replace them? What were they responsible for? What are you not going to be able to replace because you don't know what they were doing? And yeah, if you look at all of the problems with it, it just becomes more important to take a little bit more extra energy, effort, concern, empathy to work on keeping instead of letting go. However, we talked about involuntary turnover.
Really?
So sometimes turnover is not bad.
It's not bad. But today, and I know where I've been and visited and saw what's going on in companies that don't take the care, the TLC of the hiring processes, getting people in, keeping the TLC going, is when you have a termination, involuntary discharge today, you better have an attorney on the other end of the line. Because wrongful discharge is really wrong.
Yes, it is.
There are attorneys online that have access to your people that can send them a simple little email that costs them nothing that says, "Will you run through this place?" I ran across that recently, and I won't even go into the potential cost of a run for this. But they'll rack up the cost of all the wages that they'd be earning till they're 65, of the pension cost, the benefits cost, and it's the risk is so much higher today if you're going to get in the position of terminating somebody for cause. So
Gotta have it documented.
better have it documented, and even then, I mean, you get a letter from an attorney, and just to answer that letter is, you call your attorney, and
Oh, I know that cost me several $100s an hour.
Yeah. So the cost is astronomical. You want to. There's so many things. I know that's what you and I have talked about before, and this is kind of the business we're in. Really, is prevention. I'm a big believer in prevention. And prevention is preventing turnover. Prevention of getting to that point where people leave you voluntarily, or you have to let them go. And there's really a lot of things that management can do, and that's the good news. There's a lot of things, and I know you and I have a lot of things in our toolkit to bring to that party.
Absolutely.
And help entrepreneurs and even companies that are in business for a while. I think that there's always a need to get that third party to come in and take a look at it. Because sometimes in an organization, you can't see the forest for the trees.
Yeah, you get so laser focused on one thing. It's
Yeah.
like, this is my problem today. How do I solve my problem today?
Yep.
Instead of looking at the organization and the culture of the organization as a whole, right? How often do we actually just stop working in the business and go and work on the business? Let's go and let's talk to employees. Let's actually make them feel like they're heard. Take actions against the complaints or the concerns they have, instead of just taking it as, oh, well, that's your complaint. That's just you. You just complain all the time.
Right.
There
Or
are
you
people who
don't
complain.
understand.
Yeah. Then it becomes our job to help them understand. Right.
So there's just a lot of things. Employee communication alone is a big topic. And of course we have development, management development, organizational development. Looking at the organization as a whole. There's a lot of holistic things that can be done. It is always, like you said, you're putting out the fires of the day. I made up a chart one time, that Covey chart,
Yep.
and the top left quadrant, I had a guy with a fire helmet on. Because that's what most of us do. And I understand why. You get to work, you got problems in front of you right off the bat, and you get that fire hose out, and you might be behind that fire hose for 8 hours.
Yep.
Before you say, wait a minute.
And they may not be important fires. They may be a fire to somebody,
Yeah.
but they may not necessarily be a fire for you, and they may not be quite so important to the organization that things that are more important should take back seats to it.
Exactly. So there's just a lot that can be done, and it's this topic we're talking about. I think a lot of our solutions that we've talked about fits a lot of issues. So employee turnover is just one.
Absolutely.
So I think it's a huge problem that every company faces, and but the good news is there's solutions.
There are.
So
Well, Ron, I like our weekly talks.
I do too.
Look forward to the next one. I don't know what our next topic's going to be, but we'll come up with something, I'm sure.
There's plenty of topics. So, no, I think it'd be great. I think I like our format that we tackle a topic a week.
Yeah.
Probably should do it daily, but I don't know
Well,
about your schedule.
Yeah, I can't do daily.
Okay, well, weekly. We'll stick to weekly.
We'll do weekly. So for those who are happen to catch us live, or for those who are watching this after the fact, let us know your thoughts and your comments down below. Let us know what kind of topics you want us to talk about, and we'll add those to the list and we'll get those done. So this is Corey Frazier and
Ronald Ricci
with the Growth Coach of Northern California, and we look forward to hearing from you and talking to you guys later. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you.